I never thought I'd feel rejected by the person I love most, especially not while living in the same house, sharing the same bed, and planning a future together. But every morning, without fail, I wake up feeling smaller than the day before. And it's not because of cheating. It's because of something much quieter and much harder to explain. My partner and I have been together for almost 2 years. We live together. We're close. We communicate. Or at least, that's what I used to believe. I've always had a high libido, but with him, it never faded. I love being close. I love giving. I love intimacy. I genuinely want to spend my life with this man. Our mornings usually start early. He gets up for work, and I wake up too, just to make coffee, talk, and be together before the day pulls us apart. But there's a routine I can't ignore anymore. Every morning, after we talk, after the coffee, after the normal couple stuff, he waits for me to leave the bathroom. Once I do, he locks the door, puts on loud music, and watches porn while masturbating. I know this might sound small to some people, but when it happens every single morning, it stops feeling harmless. I've told him it hurts me. I've told him I'd love to be the one to pleasure him instead, especially when I'm right there. Sometimes he says that's fair. Other times he says it's just faster if I do it myself. And every time it lands the same way. I'm not chosen. What makes it worse is how he is afterward. Rushed, distant, emotionally shut down. Barely a kiss goodbye. Barely eye contact. And I'm left standing there, pretending I'm okay when I'm not. One morning, we woke up extra early. There was no rush, no excuses. I initiated intimacy. He responded. He was aroused. Then he got up and waited for me to leave the bathroom again. I made coffee. I organized things. I gave him space. When he finally opened the door, the music was loud, his signal that he was done. I was already crying. Later, he admitted he watched porn. Not me, not photos of us. Porn. And here's the part one can't make sense of. When we're intimate together, he needs medication to stay aroused. But alone with porn, he doesn't. At night, when I initiate intimacy, he's too tired. But in the morning, there's always energy for porn. I've tried to talk about it calmly, gently, carefully, but every time, he rolls his eyes and treats my pain like an accusation. And I start to feel like a child being scolded for having needs. This isn't about porn alone. It's about emotional boundaries, desire, and feeling chosen. I don't need to be wanted constantly. I just need to feel like I matter more than a screen. Physical intimacy isn't just sex. It's reassurance, connection, and safety. And when that disappears, love starts to feel lonely. I don't believe my partner is a bad person, but I do believe avoidance, defensiveness, and routine rejection can slowly destroy even the strongest bond. The hardest lesson I'm learning is this. Love without mutual intimacy becomes quiet resentment, and silence hurts more than arguments ever could. Sometimes the most painful distance isn't physical. It's emotional, created in moments where one person reaches out and the other looks away. Last night reminded me of something people don't talk about enough. That marriage doesn't have to mean boredom. That long-term love doesn't automatically kill desire. And that after nearly 2 decades together, passion can still surprise you. I'm in my mid-30s. My husband is a few years older. We've been together for over 18 years. Married, 2 kids, full lives. And like any long-term relationship, things slowed down sometimes. Work, parenting, responsibilities, exhaustion. But through all of that, one thing has stayed consistent. We still genuinely want each other. I've always had a high sex drive, and thankfully he's always met me there. If anything, intimacy has gotten better as we've grown older. Last night wasn't planned. No big setup. No dramatic mood lighting. Just the two of us, finally alone, reconnecting after a long stretch of normal life. And it was intense in the best way. The kind of closeness that reminds you why you chose this person in the first place. What surprised me wasn't just how good it felt physically. It was how comfortable it felt. 18 years in, there's no pressure to perform, no pretending, no guessing, just trust, familiarity, and desire that hasn't faded. People warn you that passion dies after kids. That routine replaces excitement. But no one tells you how deep attraction can become when you've grown together instead of apart. The next morning, he looked at me and smiled, and casually asked for a quick moment together before the day started. No drama, no insecurity, just mutual interest. And I realized something important. Desire doesn't disappear in long marriages. It disappears when people stop choosing each other. We still flirt. We still touch. We still laugh. We don't wait for perfect timing anymore. We create small moments instead. I wanted to share this not to brag, but to reassure. Marriage doesn't automatically mean losing your sex life. Aging doesn't mean becoming invisible. Long-term commitment doesn't have an equal emotional distance. If anything, intimacy can become richer when you feel safe, you feel wanted, and you build a life together, not just chemistry. Passion doesn't always look wild. Sometimes it looks like comfort, confidence, and choosing each other again and again. So yes, you can be married, you can have kids, you can be tired, and still want each other deeply. No one really prepares you for the awkward conversations in healthy relationships. Not cheating, not betrayal, but the quiet moments where you realize something small is starting to bother you more than it should, and you don't know how to say it without sounding like the bad guy. I'm 30. My partner is 31. We've been together for almost 6 months, and honestly, our relationship has been wonderful. I live alone in my own apartment. He still lives with his parents. Usually he spends the night once or twice a week, mostly Fridays or Saturdays. At first, he always asked if he could stay over, and I appreciated that. It felt respectful, intentional. I genuinely enjoy having him around. But recently, something shifted. Instead of asking, he started assuming. Friday would roll around, and suddenly it wasn't, "Can I stay over?" It was, "So I'll be here all weekend." And I didn't know how to react, because technically nothing was wrong, except it was starting to bother me. I work 2 jobs. My weekend schedule is inconsistent. Some nights I come home exhausted, overstimulated, and all I want is my bed to myself. I had already explained this to him before, that sometimes I need solitude to reset. So every time he assumed, I felt torn between wanting to be a good partner and needing to protect my own space. And the longer I stayed quiet, the heavier it felt. Eventually, I realized this wasn't about sleepovers. It was about boundaries. So one night, I decided to finally bring it up. I told him how much I appreciated that he used to ask, that it made me feel respected in my own home. He surprised me by being honest, too. He said that around the 6-month mark, he genuinely thought he didn't need to ask anymore, that it felt like our relationship had reached a point where my space was becoming our space. And suddenly everything clicked. We realized we had been interpreting the same situation differently. To me, the apartment was still mine, especially since we both agreed that moving in together wouldn't happen until at least a year in. To him, it felt like a gradual transition, a natural sharing of space over time. Neither of us was wrong. We were just unsensed. We talked it through calmly. No accusations. No defensiveness. We compromised. He agreed to go back to asking, or at least confirming, earlier in the week. And I agreed to be more open about when I need alone time, without letting resentment build. We also talked about our future, and realized we both see this relationship as something serious, long term. I apologized for making him feel like I was pushing him away. He thanked me for being honest, instead of letting it turn into distance. Sometimes, healthy relationships aren't about big romantic gestures. They're about small conversations, clear boundaries, and the willingness to listen without assuming the worst. And I'm really glad we chose to talk.